What's up everybody, it's your boy LVS Void coming in with a new series on the channel, which is what if Deku trained his body before getting one for all. So to start off this what if, we need to make a few things clear from the beginning. The first is that prior to everything from the sludge villain incident will happen like canon, like the bullying and everything original. But during the early teenage years, so not right teenage years, just when he was like 10 and up, Izuku actually started to try and reach his dream of becoming a quirkless hero. And so he trained his body by going to the gym, doing morning runs, and just trying to create a physically fit body for hero work, as he knew that he was at a disadvantage compared to everyone else who had quirks trying to become a hero. Alright, so let's just start with the story. At Izuku's middle school, nearing the end of the day, Izuku's teacher said, "Now, students, it's getting at that time of the year where you need to think about your futures and what you want to be when you grow up." As he said this, he was handing out printouts on students' desired life courses. But as he walks up to the front of the class, he says, "But I know you all want to be heroes anyway." The class will start using their quirks, except for two people, them being Katsuki and Deku. The teacher reprimanded the class, telling them off for using their quirks. But Katsuki yells at the teacher, saying, "Don't group me in with everyone else. Everyone here would be lucky enough to work as a sidekick from some D-lister." After saying this, the class gets annoyed at Katsuki, but as he said before, he isn't in the same league as them, and so they can't really do anything about it. Katsuki then goes on to tell the class that, "I'm aiming for UA, so I can reach my goal of becoming the best." As the students now comment on how difficult the exam is to get into UA, Katsuki declares that he already aced the mock exam and intends to surpass All Might as the top hero, but is interrupted by the teacher mentioning that Izuku also wants to go to UA High. The whole class then turns to face Izuku, erupting in laughter moments later. They said that a quirkless person can't become a hero, and then he should just give up on his dream. Izuku's classmates say that there's no way that he'll be able to get into the hero course if all he can do is study. But Izuku attempts to defend himself, but Katsuki aims an explosion at him, saying that Izuku should not put himself on the same level as him, since he doesn't even have a quirk, so how could he possibly aim to become a hero? But Izuku tries to explain that he's not trying to compete with Katsuki, and is only trying to follow his dream since childhood, because he will not know if he can accomplish it if he does not try. Katsuki says that the exam is impossible for him, and he will just die during it. As the whole class looks down on Izuku, snickering. After the class, Izuku would be gathering his things and reaching for his quirk notebook, but before he could, Katsuki grabbed it. Katsuki continues to taunt Izuku about the book and makes fun of him for his shortcomings in not having a quirk. Katsuki, after making fun of Izuku, then blasts his notebook out of the window. "If you really want a quirk, I know how you can get it," Katsuki says. Izuku, holding on to the last bit of hope, he asks his ex-best friend and says, Then how can I?" "Take a swan dive off the rooftop and pray to God that you get a quirk in the next life." Snickering at this, he and his little goons follow him out the door, leaving Izuku there to soak in what Katsuki had just told him. Izuku, after leaving the school grounds, looks at his destroyed notebook and forgets where he's going as he walks underneath the tunnel, but is suddenly attacked by the sludge monster. "Give me your body, kid. You'll only hurt for a second," the monster said. But in a single moment, Izuku couldn't do anything, and was only left struggling for oxygen as the sludge monster seeped down his throat. As his vision is fading away to black, suddenly, All Might appears, using a Texas smash to blast the villain away, saving Izuku. Before Izuku could see anything happen, he passes out. Moments later, All Might is shaking Izuku and asks if he is still alive, while also noticing that Izuku had quite a bit of muscle on him for someone who looks so young. Seconds later, Izuku wakes up, noticing that his idol is right in front of him, and immediately asks for his autograph in his non-burnt notebook he had in his bag. After seeing that Izuku is safe, and signing his notebook, All Might starts leaving, saying, "Well, kid, I'm glad you're safe, but I really need to go," as he jumps away. But at the same time, Izuku grabs onto his leg and ends up flying with him. Elsewhere, Katsuki's goons comment that he may have gone too far bullying Izuku this time, to which he replies that it's Izuku's fault. While they are talking, Katsuki kicks a bottle and releases the once captured villain as it attacks. Back with All Might and Izuku. "Kid, get off me!" Izuku screams back, "But if I let go of you, I'm gonna die!" "Oh, right," All Might says, not thinking of where they actually were. As we all know what actually happens on the rooftop, I'm just gonna skip it. The whole revealing his body with the massive, basically him just not having a stomach anyway, and telling Izuku that he should just be a cop. Okay, we'll get back to the story. In another area where explosions are happening, heroes are trying to fight the villain who has trying to take over Katsuki's body, but to no avail. All Might watches, scolding himself for wasting his time and not being able to help fight and save the young boy. As Izuku's watching everything happen, Izuku thinks about All Might's words while walking down the street. As he approaches the crowd watching the explosions, he notices the villain All Might saved him from, and realizes that it's his fault. It must be his fault. The hero is now unable to save the new victim, mentally apologizing to himself. However, as he makes eye contact with Katsuki, he rushes to his rescue, while the other heroes attempt to stop him. Izuku, not thinking, rushes towards the villain and remembers his notes and attempts to fight the villain, throwing his bag at the villain's eye, momentarily blinding him. Katsuki asks why he's there, and Izuku answers that it's because Katsuki's eyes were pleading for help. As the villain attempts to attack Izuku back, All Might protects him, using another Texas Smash to blow away the villain, separating the clouds from the sky. After the situation happened, admitting the heroes scold Izuku while praising Bakugo for having a very strong quirk, while scolding Izuku for risking his life for no reason, and that they were about to do their and that he shouldn't be doing their job. Later, after the heroes had scolded Izuku for risking his life and praised Katsuki for fighting back, Katsuki goes after Izuku, telling them that he never asked to be saved and that Izuku should not look down on him. But suddenly, after Katsuki left, All Might appears, meeting Izuku again, and says that the boy was the one who made the difference in the situation, despite being quirkless as well, and that he did the same thing as other top heroes had done before, moving before he could think to save another person. At that last sentence, telling Izuku could be a hero, Izuku cries. All Might tells him that Izuku is worthy to inherit his strength, confusing Izuku a bit. All Might says that his quirk can be passed down, and has selected Izuku to be his successor. All Might tells him the name of his power, as One for All. Izuku asks why All Might would give him his quirk, to which All Might replies that he doesn't mind giving it to him, because he shined more than any other so-called heroes that day in that previous situation. All Might says that the decision is his to make, and Izuku decides to accept All Might's proposal. After telling Izuku to meet him at Dagobah Beach the next day at 6 a.m. We'll cut to the next day. All Might was waiting for Izuku at the beach, telling him that to inherit his power, to inherit his quirk, he needs to have a strong vessel, and looks over Izuku's body, seeing that his body is already perfect, and tells Izuku, "Here, eat this," handing a string of hair to Izuku. Wide-eyed, Izuku asks why, and All Might explains that he needs to ingest some of his DNA to inherit the quirk. Alright, so here we're going to have a 4-month time skip of the 10 months training. So I'll go over everything that's happened during these 4 months. So in these 4 months of practicing with the quirk, and many trips to Lady Chio, the nurse, Izuku would have created full cowling and would have been able to handle 20% throughout his body. Going to the next 4 months, which is 8 months, Izuku would be able to comfortably handle 35% of One for All, and during this time would have been granted the quirk Black Whip, and would have been able to, and in the last 2 months, practice how to use it, and would learn that he can wrap it around him to be able to use more percentage of One for All. So after the 10 months time skip, Izuku's finally, after the 10 months time skip, Izuku is able to use 40% of One for All, full cowling, and Black Whip. This is full 40% without using Black Whip to wrap around his arms to handle the shock. So now we're going to the entrance exam. Izuku is seen running to UA, having arrived in time for the entrance exam. But as he is about to enter UA, he trips on his own foot and begins to fall down, but is saved by a girl's quirk. The girl, Ochako, wishes him good luck, which leaves him speechless and red as he had just talked to a girl. Inside UA, President Mike explains how the entrance exam works, which begins with the practical test and then afterwards the written test, saying that their goal was in the practical test is to dispatch as many villains, which are the robots, and can earn a high score. President Mike also explains that there are 1-pointers, 2-pointers, and 3-pointers, and 4-pointers. I think there's 4-pointers, I don't remember. But while he is talking, he is interrupted by Ida, who asks... Oh no, there is no 4-pointer, it's just 3-pointer. As he is interrupted by Ida, who asks how UA has left out the 4th robot, and tells Izuku off for muttering in the back. After apologizing for muttering and asking President Mike to continue, the rest you already know, explaining that the 0-pointer is an obstacle. So now we're going to the practical test. Izuku is handed his pamphlet sheet telling him where to go, and he goes at area G. We already know who's there with Ida and Ochako, and I'm not going to do anything that just random, so everyone's just confident and we're ready to go. President Mike counts down, and after he's counting down and the gates are open, everyone rushes out, with Izuku using full cowling at 20% to rush past everyone else. Everyone is speechless in how fast Izuku is, and they all think that Izuku's quirk is a speed quirk. Ida is astonished that, thinking that he might have been outshined with his quirk also being a speed enhancer with his engines. With Izuku going into the area with the robots, he's able to dispatch as many as possible before anybody else can. During this time, he's able to reach around 60 villain points before the ending of the exam. Going to the end, they hear a large crash as the 0-pointer is now in the sight. As you already know what happens, Ochako would have been stuck underneath some rubble and would have screamed for someone to help her as she's about to be crushed by the 0-pointer. Again, Izuku, without thinking, would have run to save Ochako. As he's using 20% of One for All, he is able to easily get Ochako and take her away from the 0-pointer. With All Might's, after saving Ochako, All Might's words appear in Izuku's head, saying that he needs to show that to the world that he is here, and decides that he wants to try and fight the 0-pointer, seeming that he already has enough villain points to pass the exam, realizing that he now has 70 villain points. I think Bakugo got 80 or something? 90, I don't remember. I remember he just getting 0 hero points, but I think he got like 96 or something. So I'm going to say that Izuku would have gotten 110 villain points, just using 20% of One for All full cowling. Rushing towards the 0-pointer, Izuku would have been able to use Black Whip, and launches himself, not using 100% of his legs to break it, but he would still launch himself using Black Whip to basically slingshot himself up to the 0-pointer. Wrapping his arm in Black Whip, he uses 100% to help with the shock, and punches the 0-pointer in the head, just completely destroying it and one-shotting the robot. With Izuku falling down to the ground, however, in this situation, Izuku wouldn't have broken any of his limbs, and would only have a slight sting in his right arm, which he used Black Whip around to help with the shock absorption. Using Black Whip, he easily swings down to the ground, while everyone is astonished in how powerful Izuku is. Everyone who thought that Izuku's quirk might have been speed is now astonished that his quirk is actually a full enhancer of his body. With Lady Chiyo coming and handing out candy to everyone else, the day is finished. For the next 2 weeks, Izuku is waiting for his interest letter, and trying to get in contact with All Might, but has failed to do so. After getting his interest letter, he is presented with All Might saying that he has gotten 110 villain points, as well as I think it was 40 or 30. Well, I'm just gonna say 40 hero points, putting him in first place with 150 points, completely dwarfing the second place, who had 96 points total points, which is Bakugo. With him texting All Might to ask if why he was on the screen, All Might would explain that again, that he is a teacher, as he already explained in the entrance letter, and they would meet on the beach. So here I'm going to leave it off, guys. We'll get into the next part of the series. I really enjoyed making this. I wrote this is my own story. I really enjoyed making the series. If you guys want to have more parts of the series, just hit like 2 likes and we'll continue this series. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and like button, and comment down anything that you think I can improve on in the series, and anything that you want me to do for what ifs. So yeah, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe button, and I'll see you guys later.